Previously on the Sugar Baby Confessionals.
I could tell that he was nervous. Unfortunately for Mankini, more so than me, he could not keep it up. I see people so differently now than I used to. Every single person I meet, man or woman, I look at them now and I see them as a sexual being.
He wants to be with multiple partners. He wants to watch his partner with other people. If you're going to do this, well, why wouldn't you just get paid for it? I am really particular about weeding people out. He's not. He's like, you know what, let's just fuck everybody. Like, no. At a certain point, like, the objective is to find somebody who is wealthy.
It's my favorite sugar daddy. It's been like this build up to tonight. He's kind of like Ewan McGregor meets David Beckham meets John Cleese.
One of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast was to start a more realistic conversation about sex. Talking about it, even in this modern age, even with friends, can be awkward as hell. So many of us have questions and insecurities swirling around in our heads, which can be extremely uncomfortable to voice, even to our own partners or best friends. Am I boring in bed? Is that normal? Should it be shaped like that? For many people, porn, advertising, and other media has skewed their sense of what it means to be intimate with someone in a significant way, what it is to enjoy and be proud of your body. Whatever you may think about the sugar babies, these ladies, in Ruby's words, know how to please a man. In my own relationship, I've never had that utter confidence. Can a vanilla person like me pick up anything from the sugar babies? And has Ruby learnt any new tricks she can share? All this and more on this week's episode, Ladyfingers, the art of preparation. Hi Ruby, how are you?
I'm doing really well today. How are you, Esty?
I'm good. I've been thinking about our topic for today, which is preparation.
Preparation, okay.
How do you get yourself ready? People like me who've been married for ages, we let a few things slide. You know what I'm saying?
I totally understand. Well, I think getting ready for a date is probably one of my favorite parts. I mean, you know, the anticipation of it, the ritual of like showering, bathing, like cleaning yourself, grooming yourself, dressing up in a way that makes you feel sexy, that makes you feel beautiful. It's a really large part of it for me, I have to tell you. It's one of the things I look forward to most about a particular day when I know I'm going to go meet someone. And I think the reason is because walking through the ritual of bathing, dressing, putting makeup on, putting perfume on, getting my hair just right, it's almost like a meditation in a weird way. Like it puts my mind in the right space for romance. So for anybody out there who is more vanilla like you, as opposed to, I don't know, rocky road like me, I don't know, swirly twirly like me, then that's what I would say, you know, really set aside a couple of hours. Like, don't be rushed. That's definitely one of the ingredients to preparing well, is to make sure you have enough time. Do you have a quiet space? You know, you don't have people banging on the bathroom door and pestering you like, you know, oh, where are my socks or something.
You're a mum. I imagine that you have children banging down your door.
Yeah. I also have a lock on my door. And my lock is my best friend, because otherwise they would just be, they would literally be with me, like physically on top of me 24/7. So every once in a while, I just have to shut that door, lock it, say thank you, you know, to my nanny or my husband, whoever is watching the kids at that particular moment, and just go off into my own little world.
Run through your ritual for us.
Okay, well, I always give myself, as I said, a couple of hours to get ready. I don't like to feel rushed. And even something as mundane as taking a shower can be an erotic experience. So particularly on those days when I'm getting ready for a date. But I've noticed now that I'm kind of in this headspace more and more, even on days when I'm not, I will like use a really nice scrub that I have that exfoliates all my skin and makes me feel so soft, you know. I'll use that all over my body, and I'll use like really, really wonderful smelling shampoo and conditioner. And, it's like these little details, instead of doing something just because you have to. Like, obviously, even if, you're just going to go meet a friend or whatever, everybody showers, everybody cleans themselves. But to take the time to think about what you're using, what you're putting on your body, how you smell, how you feel. The best way for me to put it is to say that it moves your mind to kind of a different level of consciousness,
So you think that every now and again it's probably good, even if you've been in a relationship for a long time, and that's one way of changing things up a bit, to almost give yourself that special time of pampering.
Absolutely. Listen, if you can't have a love affair with yourself, then trying to have it with anybody else is not going to work that well. So it starts with you. The preparation is about getting you in the mood. It's about getting you in the right place. Everybody wants hot sex, and they want hot sex, and maybe they probably want a lot of it. And if you talk to somebody who isn't getting that, they tend to start out with things like, oh, I want my lover to do this or my lover to do that, and they don't say this to me, and they don't do that for me. But really, I think it actually starts with your own perception of yourself and your own way of thinking about it. Any kind of lover is going to provide you with what you want if you can release it from them. Release isn't quite the right word. If you can kind of inspire them in a sense, and the way that you do that is by feeling good about yourself. It's about feeling sexy in and of yourself. Someone else can't make you feel sexy.
Right.
They can make you feel appreciated, maybe. They can help you feel beautiful. But, that kind of inner confidence, that sexiness, that's got to come from inside. So preparation is a huge part of it for me.
It's great to hear how confident Ruby is. Me? I've always battled with issues of self-esteem. It's something I really have to work at. I know it sounds weird, but out of all the things Ruby has ever opened up to me about, sexual things, crazy fantasies, it's the unabashed delight she takes in her body that I still find the most shocking. Not because she's not beautiful, she is, but because there's never that addendum a lot of women add, like, my cleavage is on point today. But, I still hate my damn thunder thighs. I realize when talking to her that most of us can't discuss what it is we love about ourselves without countering it with something we hate, which is kind of sad when you think about it.
Like I said, I start out with a shower and I take my time. I mean, I'll be in there with hot water pouring over me and just savoring myself in a way. I mean, I know that sounds probably really egotistical, but I don't mean it that way.
No, I think your point is valid. You start focusing on what the other person isn't doing. Oh, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. Resentment builds up. But actually what you're saying is you can only change yourself, sort of thing. It's that whole philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's a really wonderful and succinct way of putting it.
Not really. It wasn't that succinct. But yes, I'll take that compliment.
Thank you. So I groom myself, if you will. I really enjoy putting on makeup. I don't put it on every day. As you say, I'm a full-time mom. Most of the time I'm just kind of in leggings and a sweatshirt, hair up in a bun. That's probably one of the big reasons why I enjoy the ritual of getting ready so much, because it is very different from my normal day-to-day life. I'll do my makeup and I think about all these things ahead of time. I'll think about what I want to wear for a sugar daddy, and based on like the outfit, I'll think about, what makeup will look nice with that. And it's like all these little steps in my mind, and then I get to live them out, which is really cool.
Do any of the sugar daddies have specific things that they want from you?
Yes, and I ask them. In fact, just yesterday, I had a date with a really wonderful, wonderful guy. I'm enjoying him so much. And I sent him a message in the morning. I was so excited to see him. I was thinking about what I was going to wear, what we're going to do together. And I was like, hey, do you want my hair up or down tomorrow? How should I look for you? And he happened to say, I think I'd like to see you with your hair up. Thank you so much for asking. And I replied saying, yeah, no, it's my pleasure. It's really important to me to look attractive for you, and he sent me a message back saying, I really like that a lot. And I think men do, they want to feel as if their partner is trying to keep their attention.
I think that's one of the things that I probably am very bad about. I was saying to my mum the other day that I'm a low maintenance person trapped in a high maintenance body. If I didn't have to put makeup on, for you guys, for everybody else, I wouldn't.
Oh, really? You don't enjoy wearing it?
Now I do. I enjoy finding nice eyeshadows and stuff like that and experimenting. I apologize for the frivolous nature of this discussion. Look away now if it's not your thing. Regular transmission will shortly be resumed. I'm not like a Kardashian. I'm not like sort of full bore, contouring.
Yeah.
But I definitely love a good makeup product. But that I do feel like that is kind of because I've sort of had to be.
Well, why do you say had to be? Why do you say it like? Well, you're talking about this as if it's some kind of like duty.
Because basically I look, without makeup on, I look like a potato with 2 raisins stuck on it.
Oh my gosh. SD, that is so not true. Oh my gosh. That's just one of the silliest things I've ever heard. Really.
What I'm also very bad about is the lingerie side of things. It's, down there, with the old clippers. It gets pretty wild. It gets pretty...
Wait. Did you say down there?
Yeah, south of the border.
Can you... That's called your vulva, that area. You can call it the pubic area, the vulva.
I thought that we were, into the, 1950s euphemisms. Are we not doing that? I've got to admit, the devil in me likes messing with Ruby on this topic. She feels very strongly about using the right terms for genitalia. No cookies, peepees, or lady gardens for her.
I enjoy appropriating 1950s euphemisms into something that is sexy and much better. Referring to your beautiful lady parts as if you'd rather not have to mention them is not feminism.
Do you make your children call it a vagina?
Well, I teach them the anatomical words for their body parts. Yes, I do.
So you don't
Absolutely.
you don't make them. My mom used to use this I find disgusting. She used to call it a cookie.
I've heard that. Yeah, a cookie, a woo-woo. I mean, all sorts of very infantilized words that, listen, I mean, my big thing is I love my vulva. I love my vagina. I love my whole body. It's beautiful and I'm not ashamed of any of it. Words have power, and I just always want my kids to feel very comfortable with their bodies and not think there's anything weird or wrong with them or like, ooh, we better not talk about that, And of course, I'm very much the same way, obviously, in my own life. So, yeah. So I don't really say things like down there. It's very cute.
So the old mangrove swamp, then... Let's put it this way, sometimes it can get pretty wild and crazy down there.
Do you need like a weed whacker?
Yeah, exactly. To be honest with you, I'm not keen on the whole waxing situation. So,
have you ever been waxed down there?
No, I haven't. That probably makes
ever.
I know, it probably makes me seem like a complete troglodyte or something, but no,
I mean, listen, it's painful, but it does have very nice results.
I'm sure it does. I just can't get past the idea of going to some random person's place of business, spreading my legs and being like, have at it with the wax.
It's funny. I get waxed once a month. I would get waxed more often than that if the hair were long enough to take off. And I mean, this is probably not going to be any surprise at this point, but I have no compunction whatsoever. I'm like, I hop right up on that table and I'm like, go ahead, do your worst. Let's get rid of it. Everybody's got one, mine looks just as nice as the next lady's. I'm all good,
The other day I bought some Veet wax from the shop thinking, okay, I'm going to give this a go, because normally I just sort of I keep it trimmed, it's not like a 70s bush. But I thought, okay, let's, give my partner a special treat. Lol.
Mm-hmm.
And so I take out the wax and I'm sticking it on and I'm thinking that I'm following the instructions. And then I'm like, right, just be strong, just be tough. You can do this. You're a woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I rip on this strip. And my skin just comes up with it. Like it was so excruciatingly painful. And I was talking to another friend of mine and she was saying, no, you're not supposed to, I had tried to warm it up as much as I could in my hands because I thought, okay, the more melty it is, the better. And she was like, no. And she had this whole list of things that I should have been doing, which I might add were not on the instructions in the box. So
really? Okay.
For any Veet or any wax makers out there who are providing this to be sold to the public, put better instructions on your boxes because I practically had a huge piece of skin come away.
Oh my gosh, that must have been. Did the hair come as well, or just the skin?
No, that was the horrible thing. I had like a horrible welt with crusty wax left on it. For about a week, I stuck with
Oh
this,
my gosh, that's really sexy.
I'm guessing that the professionals know what they're doing. It's not like that scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin where
No, thankfully the girl I go to, she's awesome. She really knows what she's doing. And it feels so nice afterwards.
Do you ever get it waxed into a specific shape? What are you doing the Brazilian situation?
No. I'm completely bare, if you will.
That is the Hollywood, I believe it's called.
Yes, I think it is. I'm front and back, by the way. They do the whole shebang for me.
Back and crack.
Yeah.
Well, that's the guy version.
That's the guy version, yeah. Thankfully, I'm not so hairy that I need to have my back waxed. I don't currently have a sack, nor am I planning to grow one anytime soon. Yeah. Crack, yes. Crack is done. Yeah.
Well, okay, so that's pretty clear. I think that's a lot of information for everyone to digest. But
yeah, you know what? I would suggest anybody out there, give it a try. I mean, sure, it's a little bit painful, but it's for such a short time. And if you don't like it, you never have to get it done again. And it's cool. I mean, it does, especially if you've never done it before, I think. It makes you feel kind of naughty and like risque. I'm just blowing in the breeze down there. It's great. It's great.
well,
And
now that
and
I'm
the sensations
scarred for
are
life.
so much more intense when you don't have that like little buffer. Even if your hair is very like trimmed, to have it gone completely is amazing. For me as well, sorry, I just want to throw in there. I'm big on having my nails done. So when I get waxed, I also get a pedicure, and that's really nice because they'll give you like a little foot and leg massage. It's kind of the whole thing is about pampering yourself, like feeling like getting back in touch with your body, feeling the sensations of your body. So pedicure is a must. Manicure if you can. I don't often have a manicure because my kids are so young. Like it gets ruined in about 2 seconds flat, but it's still nice to do.
Baby, do not forget, love is a work in progress. Love is an object.
Right, and then what about lingerie? Does each daddy get his own particular outfits, or do you reuse them?
Well, listen, I mean, it's early days for me. I haven't been doing this too long, so I don't have a huge amount of lingerie. I think that that's something that as time goes by, sugar daddies will probably wind up buying for me. And The fact of the matter is a lot of the lingerie that I have doesn't fit me anymore because I just went through a phase of having children kind of year after year. So I've recently just finally lost the rest of my baby weight. So even the lingerie that I did have isn't really fitting so well. So that's something that I kind of have to work on. So at the moment,
I guess that would be part of the preparation is you are a big proponent of the Whole30
yes,
diet.
that's right.
Okay.
100%.
Go
Yeah.
into that a little bit without sort of, bugging everyone down too much with
Sure. So, the way that I eat, if I could just start from here, most people think that you have to have a diet of very lean foods and complex carbohydrates like whole wheat breads and pastas and not too much red meat, so on and so forth. Like, don't put too much fat in there, especially saturated fat, and lots of healthy grains, and that should be the basis of your diet. And I do not ascribe to that anymore. I read a book a couple years ago called The Diet Delusion by Gary Taubes. Amazing read, amazing. And my takeaway after reading his basically destruction of kind of the common wisdom around what we think is healthy eating versus perhaps what really is that carbohydrates, especially grains and legumes and things like that, aren't great for your body. I adopted a very paleo way of eating. And
what is paleo?
Paleo is basically you're trying to eat in an evolutionary way, in a sense. Like, so the Paleolithic era, the way people ate back then, that's where the name paleo comes from. You're trying to mimic as best you can. I mean, some people go a little crazy with it, but trying to mimic that type of diet because that is how your body is set up to process things. That's going to be the most efficient kind of diet for your body. A lot of it has to do with eating. A lot of it does have to do with fitness, although if you want to have really good results in your body, you absolutely have to do the eating part of it. So paleo refers to people believing that our bodies evolved to process foods in a certain way. Agriculture was only invented about, 10 to 12,000 years ago, whereas Homo sapiens have been around for hundreds of thousands of years. So we as a species went for a very, very, very long time with a certain kind of diet that did not involve planting something in the ground, growing it, harvesting it, milling it, baking it, so on and so forth. Bread is actually a very new invention given the whole grand scheme of the human cycle. So I gave up eating that stuff. And I have to tell you, it has worked wonders for me. Wonders. So
how much weight did you lose?
Almost 15 kilos.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which is that's over 30 pounds.
Clearly that's worked for you. Give me an example of the type of food that you can and can't eat.
Sure. Very often I'll eat leftovers from whatever we had for dinner the night before, but I don't think there are any leftovers in there right now, so I'll have to scrounge around a little bit. And often I'll have leftovers for breakfast, so, if there's like half of my steak and the sautéed veggies that I made for dinner the night before, that's what I'll have for breakfast because it's there and it's easy and I know I'm going to like it. So that's really helpful. So basically, I don't eat any kind of processed food. So when I go grocery shopping, I always try to keep this rule in mind that if it's one ingredient, chances are it should be okay for you. If you have to flip a package over and read a bunch of ingredients on the back, chances are there's going to be at least one, probably a lot more things in that food product that you don't want to put in your body. Yeah, so it means a lot of cooking at home. I do enjoy eating out, and when I go out, I try to choose, the thing I'm going to think will be the healthiest. Sometimes it's kind of tricky, but
yeah, I was going to say, when you're out with the sugar daddies, what if one of them buys you like, I don't know, a box of cupcakes or...
Well, I did have a sugar daddy buy me a bar of chocolate that he thought was my favorite, and it wasn't. which was quite sweet of him. I mean, he tried. And I just said thank you and, like, I'll have some later. I didn't want to make a thing out of it.
Right. You're sort of keeping the air of mystery about the mechanics of looking good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if someone asks, I'll be happy to tell them, but I don't think that's really something I need to go into. I don't try to proselytize. I think sometimes my friends think I do because they'll come and complain to me about something and I'm like, oh, but you have to try eating this way. And they're like, yeah, Ruby, we know.
I guess that you could get into trouble if you're sort of out to dinner with someone and they are saying, I find it really sexy. Let's reenact the scene from Lady and the Tramp with the pasta and the spaghetti strings, and you'd have to be, you don't have pasta, so you'd be like, let's not do that.
I think I would be in for a world of pain if I had a sugar daddy who wanted to reenact Disney films, particularly ones that starred animals.
You don't find the latent sexuality and the subliminal messaging in Disney a turn on? I mean, didn't we all receive our sexual awakenings by, I don't know, looking at, watching Aladdin? I don't know. But anyway, my point was, I guess a sort of sugar daddy could have a fetish of wanting to cover you in cake or something like that and lick it off you.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I'll roll with it, I'm willing to try pretty much anything. To answer your question specifically, so the Whole30, and anyone can check them out, whole30.com. No, they don't pay me to say that. Is amazing, and it is a paleo diet, and just the way that the people who run Whole30, the way they've organized their particular program really worked for me. So whole refers to the type of food that you're eating. Whole, nutritious, nourishing foods, nothing processed, no sugar, not even natural forms of sugar, and nothing that your body would convert into sugar. So no grains, no legumes, things like that. And 30 refers to the number of days that you're supposed to eat this particular kind of diet. And it's a detox for your body. It just helps your body heal. It lets your gut heal, and
so the rest of the time you subscribe to a paleo diet, but then every once in a while you'll do Whole30 just to detox a bit.
Yeah, so Whole30 is a paleo way of eating. It's just very, very strict.
Yeah,
very, very strict. So, for instance, no alcohol. If you're doing a Whole30, you wouldn't drink any alcohol at all, not even wine. Whereas if you're following a paleo lifestyle, having like a glass of wine once or twice a week is not a big deal. Having a square of really dark chocolate, like I love 90% dark chocolate, which is actually my favorite mankini, if you're listening to this. So having a square of really dark chocolate, like little things like that, it's fine. Your body, like, handles it quite well, especially if it's every once in a while. It's really the problem when you sit down and eat a gigantic like Easter bunny of like really cheap milk chocolate. You gotta do bad things to your insides with stuff like that.
Do you think that it's not a coincidence that you have begun the sugar daddy thing around the same time that you've lost a lot of the baby weight?
I don't think it's a coincidence at all. I mean, I'm feeling so good. I feel good about the way I look. I have so much energy, a lot of energy. Like, so just as an example, I didn't get home last night until 2:00 in the morning, and my favorite person ravaged me at that time because that's what he does. And then my kids woke up at 5:00. So I have literally had 2 hours of sleep right now. And of course I am really, really tired, but I'm functional. Like, somehow, amazingly, I'm functional. And I don't think that would be the case if I didn't eat the way I eat. Yeah, so I've got a lot of energy and my skin is clear and I feel good because, I've shed the excess pounds that were just kind of weighing me down.
Do you think that you might not have embarked on this sugar daddy experience if you hadn't lost the weight? Or do you think it would have happened? You just would have felt slightly less confident?
That's a really great question. I don't know. I think that if I had lost a little bit of weight, if my sexual confidence had come back enough, I would have. I'm not saying that I have to tell you, I've become so lean.
Ruby's not kidding. Her body shape has changed profoundly. I mean, I always thought she was gorgeous, but she was softer, curvier than she is now. A real hourglass figure like the old 50s movie stars. I always thought her shape was an indelible part of her, but she's carved off the excess flesh ruthlessly and looks strong, fit. Only her face is the same, with her laughing eyes.
I didn't even imagine that this was going to happen. You know what I mean? Sticking to this way of eating and moving, because I try to walk a lot as well. It's just done wonders, and it's way better than I thought it was going to be. So I think that it's probably not a yes or no. It's probably somewhere in the middle. I probably would be walking down this sugar baby road if I felt good enough about my body. But, if I still had that baby weight on, 15 kilos is a lot of weight. So if that were still hanging on my frame, definitely not. I wouldn't be in the right headspace. And I'm not saying someone that the size that I was isn't beautiful or attractive or sexy. I mean, I was all of those things then, just like I am now, but I didn't feel the same way about myself. And that's really, that's the key.
Yeah. Did you ever go through any stage of feeling very unconfident? I know you're extremely confident now.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, my baby making years, man. They were rough years on the libido, especially, I do have a daughter, and I found that when I was pregnant with her in particular, I think probably because of the higher level of estrogen in my system, I was just so not interested in sex at all. Not with favorite person, not with anybody else, not even with myself.
To hear Ruby talking about losing something that seems so fundamental to her being is unnerving. My husband and I are thinking of having kids soon, and the idea that I could lose my sex drive completely seems like quite a rough deal for both partners. I was watching an episode of Inside Amy Schumer, where she interviewed Noel Biederman, CEO of Ashley Madison, and he was talking about how the first child is the first time men, in particular he seems to imply, stray. I mean, he came across as a bit of a douche, but still it was a valid point. How do men deal with either a lack of sex or a severely restricted amount over this period? I mean, it can last years depending on how many kids you have. Think about it. Years.
I was just not into it.
Not feeling it.
And not feeling, it's a hormonal thing. It's all your hormones. It really, really is.
I'm sure a lot of people go through that. How did you come out of that? How did you come out of the slump?
Well, I stopped getting pregnant and breastfeeding. So I think my body's kind of reached its equilibrium again. I naturally, now that my metabolism is kind of steady and my hormones have leveled out and whatnot, I naturally have quite a high sex drive. That's my normal state of being.
Right. So did you just wake up one day, some months after, I don't know, back on the pill or whatever it is you're using, and you were like, whoa, I'm back.
Ruby's back, baby. Watch out. Yeah, you know what? It kind of was like that. Yeah. I have 3 kids, and when I stopped breastfeeding him, it took a couple of months after that, and then I felt like I just woke up one day, and there was favorite person next to me in the bed, and I'm like, "Hey, baby, you look pretty good," and he's like, "Ooh, hello, haven't seen you in a while."
Was that rough when your relationship with FP?
It was during the first 2 go-arounds, but by the time the third kid came along, I think we were both older and wiser, and we knew that, there's just a certain rhythm to it, and you just have to ride it out, and you can't take it personally. Things did improve, once I had my first child, and once I stopped breastfeeding him, and then, with the second one, I stopped breastfeeding her. There were a very short span of time between children where my hormones were just starting to level out again and things would improve. So I think both FP and I knew that would happen, and we were much more relaxed the third time around because it really does come back.
Oh, thank God. I mean, phew.
Partners need to be realistic in thinking that you have to give yourself a full year. Like, after the kid is born. Like you're pregnant for 9 months, which is its own wild ride. And then you give birth. And then even if you don't breastfeed, but certainly if you do breastfeed, because, hormonal changes are still going on in your body because of that, it takes a while to get back to yourself, so give it a full year. Don't put too much pressure for like amazing hot sex.
In what ways did your body change after pregnancy?
I do have stretch marks on my stomach, and I feel quite fortunate that my stomach there isn't a lot of droopy, saggy skin, because I know that can also happen to women. So the skin itself is pretty firm, but it is, it's stretched out, so you can see the marks there. Now I'm quite comfortable about it and I don't mind, but that took a little while. It's definitely a big change, and it's something that you just have to come to accept it, right? Because there's no changing it back. So I'd rather just love the body I have than lament over the body that I could never have.
Right.
That's just silly. That's like wasted energy. It's very negative.
And clearly you're not having any complaints as yet from the sugar daddies.
Well, and that's the thing. I believe that we are all our own worst critic. Like, men look at me and they love my body. They think that I'm so beautiful, so sexy. They love to touch me. They love to smell me. They could care less about a couple little stretch marks on my stomach. I could be there, like, blowing it up in my mind and eroding my own self-confidence because of it. But why? I mean, it's not actually like it's a problem. It would only be a problem if I made it a problem.
Right. Right. Well, this sort of touches back on what we've been talking about. You're your own worst enemy when it comes to being attractive and in any kind of way. Even if it's just you just want to feel attractive in a general sense, you can make yourself unattractive by thinking the bad thoughts about your own body and talking yourself down all the time, which I admit I'm a big culprit for.
Yeah, you are. SD, you are really bad at that. It's true. And you got to cut it out because, confidence, it all comes from within. You just have to accept yourself for who you are and love yourself for who you are. And then you'll be able to love other people. Right. I know that sounds so corny, but it's so true.
I think here's where a slightly more American attitude is probably better, because, the culture that I come from is very self-deprecating, is very like, you can't be seen to be confident. That's just disgusting behavior.
No. Oh, that's awful.
If you're always self-deprecating, it's almost like a mantra that you keep reinforcing sort of bad ideas.
Well, I'll tell you how I got there with my own body. I had this little mantra that I would say to myself every morning when I'd get in the shower. I would just repeat, and it started out loud. I would say over and over again, I love my body, I love my body, I love my body. So as I was looking in the mirror, taking pajamas off, turning the water on for the shower, I would look at myself and say, I love my body, I love my body, I love my body. And, when I first started doing that, I didn't believe it in the slightest. There was like a part of my brain going like, yeah, you sound like a freakazoid talking to herself, talking bullshit, But I just kept doing it. And, eventually it worked. I changed the little voice in my mind. And now I don't really have to walk through that mantra anymore. something that I am still not quite as good about as accepting as I am the stretch marks on my stomach is my breasts. That's also a huge change. So when you're breastfeeding, of course, they get huge because they're always so engorged and full of milk. But then when you stop breastfeeding, they kind of like shrivel up. I think there's a line in This Is 40 where the wife is like, yeah, my kids just sucked the meat right out of my breasts when they were breastfeeding. And it's so true. Like, I used to have really full, perky, beautiful breasts, and they are still beautiful, but they're different now. They don't look the way they used to look before I had children and I breastfed them. And that's something that's been a little bit tricky for me to get used to. So every once in a while, if there is a negative thought that pops in there, it's usually about my breasts. And then I'll zoom right in with, no, no, no. I love my body. I love my body. I love my body. I love my body. And it works.
Let's move on to the sort of nitty-gritty of the preparation side. I've been wondering how you know that these partners that you take, these sugar daddies, are sort of free from any STDs. A couple of years ago, I interviewed, I'm not making a comparison here, but I interviewed someone who's involved in porn, and she was like, they always have to have a certificate to show that they're disease-free and have to present that. I mean, is that something that you have to do? I mean, I would imagine that would be a bit of a mood killer. Where's your certificate, Mankini? Here it is. It's in my Mankini. Listen, I'm pulling it out of my Mankini. Here it is.
You never know for sure, obviously. That being said, the people that I spend time with are not terribly promiscuous.
Really, though? Aren't they just a teeny bit?
So I think the likelihood of that happening is probably much less than in someone who is a sex worker, like a porn star.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you never know. So I always use a condom. Always. Like, there's no discussion of anything else but that. And then, obviously, I go to the doctor and I get checked up and checked out and all the rest of it. So that's a huge thing. Actually.
So there's nothing formally discussed between you about getting a certificate or anything like that?
I think that if I were with a sugar daddy, like the same person for a long time, and we got to know each other really, really well, and if he were exclusive to me, so I knew that he didn't have any other partners, and I really believed that, and then we could both get tested, and then maybe we could talk about barebacking, but I mean, there's so many hoops to jump through. Like, my mind doesn't even go there, really. I mean, I can't really picture that happening. Maybe it would one day, but I just don't see it happening. Because it's not just my health that's at risk. It's favorite person's health, you know?
Yes.
And, even in the heat of the moment, if I would be stupid enough and willing to say, oh, fuck it, you look clean enough to me. I could never do that to FP. Yeah, that would be really bad. Really, really, really bad.
I am
and then, of course, when
sorry to tell you, those genital warts are my fault.
Do you think there's a Hallmark card for that?
Yeah, there is. I'm sure that card exists somewhere. Are you on the pill or anything like that?
I actually have a Mirena.
Sorry, a Macarena? What is that? Sort of late 90s
no.
dance.
Oh my gosh. If it were called the Macarena, that would be even better. No, it's called a Mirena. It's an IED. Yeah. So when I had my last child, during that procedure, it was a C-section. So during that procedure, my doctor put a Mirena in for me, which is amazing. So that's birth control every single day for 5 years straight that I don't have to think about.
Wow.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
5 years.
I mean, it's a little on the expensive side to like to purchase it up front, but I mean, over the long haul, it's so much cheaper than pills as well. Being on the pill.
Less annoying.
Yeah, definitely less annoying. Because I know myself, I'm actually really bad at remembering to take something every single day. I try to take my vitamins every day, and I probably get there 4, maybe 5 times a week. So playing like that with something like birth control does not seem like a good idea.
It's not like a Russian roulette, you want to be sure about these things.
Yeah. exactly. So birth control is always covered, and then condoms definitely.
So we're talking about the process. You're getting yourself prepared. You've gone into the shower. You've done your mantra. You've put on your lotions and perfume and everything. How do you then mentally psych yourself up for each date with a sugar daddy?
I think a lot about what we're going to do together. So far, I've been on a couple of dates with two different men.
Ruby tells me about her first official date with the Brit.
The Brit is, as I mentioned, not attached. So that makes life so much easier.
In what way?
In terms of logistics.
Right. So you can text him or call him and he won't have to sort of hide in the closet.
Well, there's that, and then there's also the fact that hanging out at his house is easy.
So you go back to his place then?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that lets you get a bit closer to him. You can see evidence of his life, his past, his tastes.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about that specifically, but you're absolutely right. I mean, because I'm in his personal space, I do get to know him a lot better, which I think is cool because it adds to the whole experience. So he has asked to see me once a week. So I've actually had 2 dates with him. So the last time we spoke was my very first date, and then yesterday was my second date.
You said that Mankini's all about the sex. That's like the main event for him. Whereas, how does it go with the Brit? Does he, I mean, are you doing a sort of staggering it out, or did you also have sex on the first date, or how did it work?
Oh, no, we did. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like he doesn't want that, because he definitely does, but it's more than that for him. Like he's looking to kind of hang out with someone, have a fun companion to go out and do fun things with, see a movie, go dancing, have dinner, things like that. Maybe go for a hike one day. So, and that's nice. I enjoy that. I enjoy the companionship part of it,
Right. Why do you think someone like him who's unattached, sounds like he's fairly attractive, why would he
I think he's gorgeous, actually.
Right.
It shocks me to know, like, his biological age, because he really doesn't look it at all.
But I mean, someone like that, I imagine he's got a bit of extra cash to throw around. Why would he want to be a sugar daddy? I understand it more with Mankini. His wife is a low libido, but he doesn't want to separate from her because he loves her. But with someone like the Brits, is it just about taking all the guesswork out of it? Like, I want to have sex and I don't want to have to negotiate through a whole lot of rules and things.
I think that with the Brit in particular, it's about the no strings attached, So, I mean, he was married for a very, very long time. And he got married in his early 20s, married for about 30 years. He's been divorced for a few years now, but he's just not ready to get into any kind of relationship with a woman that even has the possibility of blooming into something else. Like, he doesn't even want to have to think about it.
Right.
And fair enough. I mean, he's lived most of his life married to someone, and he wants to spend the next few years not having to think about a future, with a woman. Yeah, so there's that. And then he also told me, because I asked him the same exact question, actually. He also told me that he finds women his age kind of on the boring side. And the women who are my age, they look at him and they immediately think ooh, perfect husband material. Older, handsome, rich, no children, let's get him in the bag, and that's just really not what he's looking for.
So tell us about your dates with him then.
Yeah, the great thing is there haven't been any awkward moments. I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy most about him. So, I don't know, we just see eye to eye on pretty much everything. It's quite weird, actually, considering that he is a different nationality, that he's quite a bit older than me.
Backing up a little bit, what about, your first kiss? Dealing with different men, a variety of different men, which is unusual for most people. How do you transition from you're just on a date or whatever to sex? when you don't
Mhm.
really know someone that well. You know, I mean, a lot of people need time to build up intimacy and trust and, you know, all of that kind of thing. Tell me about the first moment with Brit where the mood changes and you know.
We were WhatsApping each other about that. So he and I, the progression of our relationship is thus: we emailed each other through a site and decided, like, okay, we like each other enough, like, let's meet for coffee. So we did. And we really liked each other. And it took a little while for us to come to an arrangement because he's actually not thrilled with the idea of being a sugar daddy.
Am I wrong to find this just a little bit funny? I mean, the reluctant sugar daddy parts with his cash reluctantly. Which bit is he not okay with specifically? Handing over the dosh, putting up an online profile. There are a lot of steps you take when becoming a sugar daddy. You don't just fall into it willy-nilly. Emphasis on the willy? Sorry. But seriously, by the time you get round to being in the situation itself, I'm thinking that's a little late to be expressing hesitation.
You know, he kind of like views the allowance as a bit of a necessary evil, if you will. So it took a little talking from both of our sides to like get to a compromise that worked for us, and I'm so happy that we did. So that took a while. That took about a week of just emailing back and forth, and then he went away on a trip for 2 weeks. It wasn't constant, but, you know, we texted each other every couple of days while he was away. And one of the questions I asked him was, what are you most looking forward to about our first date? And we both said at the same time, like, I didn't wait for him to ask me the question back. I just immediately started typing my next message, and we both said at the same time, our first kiss, which I thought was such a cool sign, you know?
Wow.
And yeah. So first date came, we go out to dinner. I held his hand in the car. I reached out, we took a cab, and I reached out and I held his hand, which I think he was a little surprised at, but quite happy about. When we went back to his apartment, we were sitting on the couch next to each other, and I had this bright red lipstick on. And I kept thinking, like, you know, he hasn't tried to kiss me once the entire night, you know? I think I should wipe this shit off. So I very deliberately got up and walked across the room and took a tissue out of the tissue box and walked back to the couch and wiped this bright red lipstick off. I was looking at him the whole time. And when I was finished, he gave me this look. It was quite a funny, quirky little look. And I was like, oh no, please don't tell me I look like a clown now. Did I just wipe it all over my face? And he was like, and I was like, oh my gosh, no. And he's like, no, I'm just teasing. You actually look really great. And I was like, oh, phew. And then in such a gentlemanly way, he said, can I kiss you? And I said, please do. And it was wonderful. You know, I think I'm a firm believer in the first kiss. I feel like you can tell a lot about a person and what kind of a lover they'll be based on how they kiss you. And you can also like feel the chemistry between you and the other person.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
With that first kiss. So
I think it's the best litmus test, really. Because
that's
also,
a perfect way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because also you know, you might feel sort of like meh about someone, and then the kiss is like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
You know, it sends into overdrive. I mean, I love kissing. Kissing is one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's fantastic. And luckily for me, that first kiss was just amazing. I loved it. It went on and on and on. And
drool.
No. Just the right amount of tongue, just the right amount of lip, just the right amount of biting. It was wonderful. He's a really good kisser. Yeah, so that was great. And I agree with you, you know. So yesterday when we met, this time I asked him.
By the way, I was actually kind of hoping that you would do the accents. You know, if someone has an accent. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. You said you were good at accents, so when I thought you were going to, can I kiss you?
Oh my gosh, you sounded just like him. Oh, you're channeling the Brit right now. I can sense it. Can I kiss you?
Just to be crystal clear, the Brit does not talk like that. I don't know what accent that is. And if you want to know how I know what the Brit sounds like, tune in to future podcasts.
So there are kind of two things for me. There's the first kiss, which tells you a lot, and even like, kissing after that. Like, if the kissing is good, then chances are you'll be able to work out other things being really good,
Yeah.
And the other thing that I find can really throw me off or get me into a person one way or the other is their sex face. Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yep.
Like that face a person makes when they're really in the throes of passion. And, I feel a little bad about this because I feel like Mankini is turning into the whipping boy here. And I don't mean to do that to him because he really is genuinely such a lovely person. But his sex face is hysterical. He looks like he is going to have some kind of convulsion, but is also doing an Elvis impression like at the same time. Elvis is about to have an epileptic fit like that.
So Elvis's last moments is basically what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's not pretty. Not pretty.
I mean, that's gotta be tough for you. I mean,
so tough. Do you have any idea how hard it was not to laugh at him?
Shame.
I had to close my eyes.
How do you maintain your own excitement?
It's really difficult. I kind of had to touch myself. It wasn't happening in that moment. Yeah.
Picture somebody else. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Like that. I just kept picturing him.
Oh God.
Going, thank you very much.
Yeah, except you weren't thanking him very much. It's more like no, thank you very much.
Yeah. So
Shame.
I'm very happy to report that the Brit has a very cool sex face. In fact, it's so awesome. I actually told him last night when he was on top of me, I'm like, I really like your sex face. I'm so happy you don't have a weird or ugly or humorous sex face.
And what did he say?
Thank you very much. That's just life, isn't it? Some people really fit you, and some people are fun, but they don't quite fit, Some people don't fit you at all, and like you shouldn't even bother trying,
Yeah.
So lucky for me, like the Brit is just incredible. He's a hardcore cyclist, so he's really fit, and he's got so much stamina. So I mean, we were just at it nonstop from like 9 o'clock at night until 1 o'clock in the morning. It's amazing.
Did you orgasm then?
Yeah. Yeah. I did. Many, many, many times I did.
And then you went home to FP and once again...
Yep, there you go. At it again.
How do you manage that? That sounds exhausting. I mean, it sounds great.
It is exhausting. I eat paleo.
I mean, do you ever tell your sugar daddies, do they show any interest in your relationship with FP? Like, would you ever tell them that that's what happens?
Yeah, I have actually. I have told them. I've told both of them.
And how did they react?
I'm very upfront when I'm talking to someone new about the fact that my husband knows what I do. This is how we work. He has his interests as well. And I mean, it depends on the person. Some people are very curious and they'll ask me a lot of questions about the dynamic and how does that work. Some people just go, oh, okay, well, that's cool. Yeah. So for instance, Mankini was very interested to hear about FP and, how it works between us. And I think because he doesn't have that,
Yeah.
it has something so different. And then with the Brit, I mean, he's very happy for me to mention FP in conversation or stuff that we get up to together. But he doesn't seem terribly curious about, my relationship. He just accepts it for what it is, and that's cool.
Right. Okay. It doesn't play a part. It's not like he gets similarly turned on by hearing about it.
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
You were talking about how, I mean, without infringing on FP's own activities, because you want to keep your boundaries and everything. We were talking about the way that you decompress by coming home and he ravishes you. But what about when he's been on a date? How do you, is there something that you guys do to decompress or?
That's interesting. I don't feel the same physical need that he does to reclaim my partner. I need to hear out loud. I need to hear verbalized that I am still number one. I need to hear him say that he loves me, that he wants me, that, like, yes, she's beautiful, but you're more beautiful. I need to hear him say those things. And as soon as I hear them, like, it's fine.
You relax.
I mean, even before he would say something like that, it's not like I'm freaking out or something. But I think that process is probably the same for me as his process of physically reclaiming me.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The male reclaims physically, sort of putting his scent on you kind of thing,
Yeah.
Whereas the female is verbal.
Yeah, I know. I mean, maybe I'm sure, we are who we are. So maybe another couple would be different, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, the male and the female, it does seem almost a little stereotypical, doesn't it? So yeah, so listen, I mean, I have to say, I'm actually very happy that FP, he's found a particular person. So he's gone out on a couple of different dates with different people. And he's one of them he's really kind of clicked with, really likes her. They have a wonderful time together, great conversation, similar interests. So he has been seeing her once a week, and it's going well. I mean, the very first time that he went out with this person, I felt a little apprehensive just because I think on paper she has similar qualities to me.
Right.
She's well-read, well-traveled.
He's not her sugar daddy.
No.
They're just dating like a normal dating kind of situation.
Yeah, although she doesn't, of course, she knows everything about our situation. I mean, he's as upfront and honest about everything as I am. And it's going well. And, so the first time that they went out together, I felt a little apprehensive. But as soon as he got home and I could see how happy he was and like what a wonderful time he had, that just evaporated. That sense of compersion immediately kicked in, and I just thought, no, man, like, this is awesome. I don't have anything to worry about, so like, let's just be happy. And since then, thankfully I've remained very relaxed. Like, I don't worry about the two of them interacting with each other, or when he goes out with her. In fact, I get excited for him because I know he's going to come home and be so just full of confidence, full of energy, so happy, just feel really good about himself. And that's the whole point, is to kind of go and have a new experience, be energized by that experience, and then to bring it back to our sacred union.
Wow, yeah, that's the difficulty. I think a lot of people would be like, well, geez, I would never be able to do that in a million years. I mean, I love the idea of the person getting confidence and all of that kind of thing. But when you're talking about someone like me, for example, I would be like, wow, she's making him more happy than I could make him, or she's bringing him this new pep in his step. And clearly I'm the boring old bag at home, or something like that, But that's, I mean, like you were saying in the previous episode, you were saying that probably says more about me in a way and my insecurities.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to be very secure in yourself and in your relationship to do what it is that favorite person and I do. But if you can, it's wonderful. I mean, it's early days for us, for sure. So, I mean, fingers crossed, I'm not, knock on wood as well, I'm not jinxing anything, but it's working really well for us. I just get so happy for him to be fulfilled like that. Just because somebody else is providing him with a kind of stimulation that I can't anymore doesn't mean that my value to him or his love for me is any less. And that's the thing. Like I think that's like the key notion behind all of this. Like, somebody else adding to the love in his life does not take away from the love that's already in his life.
Have I actually learned more about facilitating the love experience via the medium of wax and mantras? I guess. Mantras are always useful for getting yourself into a better frame of mind. I must use mantras. I must use mantras. I must use mantras. There you go. a mantra for your mantras. But seriously, getting yourself primped, pampered and powdered? Well, it isn't profound, is it? Let's face it, in a long-term relationship you do tend to let things slide. Sooner or later, the granny panties and the holy t-shirts come out. But it's easy to forget that if you want your partner to make an effort, you should too. I think there's a part of me that's like, well, if you can't love me in this disgusting holy t-shirt, then you don't love me enough. But really saying that by making yourself feel fantastic, you can build your self-esteem. And confidence, as we all know, is sexy. If a wax and a mani-pedi does that for you, then why not? Till next time, on the Sugar Baby Confessionals.
I am a petty ruiner, spoiler of your words. My mouth is like a sewer, and my thoughts.
This podcast was produced and edited by me, Sarah Mae Tucson, with help from Beth Keane, Mike Scott, Geraldine Elliott, and Catherine Hoffmeyer. The music you've heard on this podcast comes from Danny Green's albums Obituaries and Leish, as well as Kristen McClement's album The Wild Grips. As ever, you can find out more about Leish by going to leishmusic.com. That's LAISH music.com. And hear Kristen's work at kristenmcclement.com. Let us know if you're enjoying the podcast by emailing us at fablegazers@gmail.com. Why not join the conversation on Twitter? We're @Fable_gazers, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Rating, reviewing, and subscribing helps to keep us going, so be kind. Names and details have been changed to protect the anonymity of those involved. This has been a Fable Gazers production.
A petty